All right, Adam Trigger here. Let's head back down to the ACC for another one of these big lopsided matchups this week, unranked versus ranked. It's going to be Boston College versus SMU. But first, I want to tell you about two specials we have at WagerTalk. Coupon code FBALL50 gets you $50 off any handicapper, college football or NFL for the rest of the season. And coupon code BBALL30, also $50 off. And that's off a month of basketball picks, either NBA or college hoop. Any handicapper of your choice. I'm off to a great start in college hoop this year, and you can get the rest of the next 30 days of my college basketball picks for $50 off using coupon code BBALL30. Okay, time to talk some college football. Headed down to the Lone Star State. It's Boston College. It's SMU, and we've got some early week happenings in this game, if you will. Boston College comes out, makes a quarterback change. Looks like Grayson James will get a start on Saturday. He, of course, came in the third quarter of the game this past weekend, and I guess you could say he led Boston College to victory. I think the market and many odds makers have a bit of a drop off from Thomas Castellanos down to Grayson James, which is part of the reason I think you're seeing all of that steam toward SMU. As we speak and as we do this video, 19 and a half is the number, all the way up from like 16 or, this moved kind of quickly. And I mean, me personally, I'm not high on Castellanos. It was part of my handicap last week. So I suppose you're going to give me like 3.5 additional points for James as opposed to Castellanos and what already probably was a little bit of an inflated line. Tough to kind of ignore that. So I think from a side perspective, the only thing I could probably bet here is Boston College. I'll talk about the total a little bit, but I also want to point out that Castellanos was outwardly unhappy about being benched. And I feel like the move here, like I think this was a Bill O'Brien move for kind of the greater good of the team. I don't think he makes this change if he doesn't have like the backing of the locker room. Remember, Boston College is a win away from being bowl eligible. They're 5-4 after the win over Syracuse last week. So I just don't think he makes that change unless he feels like the team is behind it, knowing that they've got 3 cracks and they win one of these games, they're going to a bowl game. And even though it might not be this week, it very well could be next week at home against North Carolina. So I'm not saying Boston College is viewing this as a throwaway game, but this also could be a game where he really gets to throw Grayson James into the fire, see what he's got. I don't think he probably expects to win this game anyway. So what better way to sort of see what you have in Grayson James, who's a guy that's going to be, around next year and maybe, trying to throw his hat in the ring to be the starter next year. What better way to see what you've got than throwing him into the fire against what's really a top 25 SMU defense and seeing, if he plays good enough to sort of earn him the opportunity the following week against North Carolina. That's why I kind of like the under here. The under is now 54, and man, SMU is, explosive on offense. We saw what they could do 2 weeks ago against Pitt. That was the last time anyone saw SMU just running up and down the field, doing whatever they wanted against Pitt. We had a 4% winner in that game. No sweat. SMU just went up early, and it was never even close. Even that final score of 48-25 is a bit deceiving. Pitt kind of punched a couple of scores in late there to still end up losing by 23. That was a dominant performance, start to finish, by SMU. And I guess I wouldn't be that surprised if SMU was dominant again here, but there's a couple of things that concern me, which actually all sort of lend itself to thinking the under is the right play here. So I think, first of all, SMU could completely dominate this game defensively. And if O'Brien decides to kind of stick with James, maybe you might not get much scoring at all from Boston College. Because the one thing Castellanos does, even though I think he can be a liability at times at the quarterback position, the one thing Castellanos really does is he can just make a play. And that's something that I think the BC offense might lack with James. The other thing that I think is really important to point out here is SMU has now got a target on their back big time. Miami loses last week. SMU is the final unbeaten team in the ACC. Big target. And, I would say at this point, everyone expects them to probably win out. They are home against BC as nearly a 3-touchdown favorite. They go to Virginia, and then they come back home for Cal. So there's real expectations on this SMU team. And you guys know how college football goes. At some point, whether it costs them a game or not, whether they lose one or not, they're probably going to have a dud where they don't play their best football and maybe still need to get by and still need to win. I'm not saying it's going to be here, but it could be. And I do think that what that game looks like potentially is SMU kind of, running the ball, gutting out a win. They do have a balanced attack. I kind of see them. I kind of trust SMU to, even if they don't have their best stuff here, if you will, for lack of a better term, being willing to kick the ball away from BC, chew some clock up, letting James try to beat them, which I don't really think he's going to be able to do. So I really think that this one plays under. And I think there's a couple of ways it gets there. One, you're either going to get a game plan from SMU that's a little bit more conservative, that, doesn't, because you don't want to give Boston College any free sort of big plays. Think about what Louisville did at Boston College a few weeks back, throwing the pick six and really just made mistakes to allow BC to be in that game far more than they should have. I think SMU knows that if they don't turn the ball over and if they just sort of play their game, they're going to win this game regardless. The other thing I could see is if SMU just explodes here and goes up huge, I do think we're at the point of the season where SMU's sights are on that championship game, and they really have to start prioritizing health. You cannot, if you're SMU, you just cannot afford to have a stupid injury here. And so for that reason, I think if you saw a game where SMU was suddenly found themselves up 31-3 or was up massive, they're really going to pump the brakes on the offense, probably going to run the football, long drives, be willing to play field position, and just turn it over to their defense, which is so good that I just don't think Boston College is going to be able to do a ton offensively here. So side is way too inflated. I can't really, condone a play there, especially not on, even though the number is good on Boston College, there's just I want no part of this team at this point. But I definitely see multiple paths to an under here. So we'll call it under 54, free play SMU Boston College. I just don't see a ton of points. And if there is a ton of points, they're going to come from the SMU side, and you might get something like a 41-10 type game, 41-7, that stays under anyway. So under 54.5 is the free play. Please like and subscribe to the WagerTalk YouTube channel so we can continue to bring you these free picks the rest of the season. And follow me on all platforms at AdamTriggerWT. Don't forget the coupon codes BBall30 for $50 off any 30-day college basketball package or NBA package, and then FBall50 for $50 off any handicapper football the rest of the season. Good luck this weekend, everybody, and we'll see you guys next time.